Excuse me, a bit under the weather. Spring's fast approaching, and I'm congested. If I sound very nasally or something like that is the reason. So, it's been a long time since we spoke. Last time we talked about revolution. It was awesome. I'm just going to rant on a few things on the top of my head and see what you guys think. Let's start with the main event for WrestleMania. We know night 2 is Cody Rhodes versus John Cena. Trying to figure out the main event for night 1. Is it main event Jey Uso versus Gunther? Or whatever combination you're trying to set up between CM Punk, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns. Seth posted something. His words. Shout out to Front Office Sports for this. I don't think it's terribly important where it versus Punk versus Reigns sit on the card. Just look at the names and it's a main event. It doesn't matter where it sits. Yes, it does. The main event is the most important. If you're not in the main event, then you're just a side attraction or a showcase right now. I've learned through all wrestling lore that the biggest and most important thing is the championship. The championship closes out. It is the biggest prize in the company. No matter what you three think, you guys, very popular, well known, but you guys are just not good to be in the main event. Ooh. I always struck a chord with somebody. Like, who am I to just tell these people they don't belong in the main event? They main evented many times. We've seen their matches. Some are legendaries. Surprising. Some never even happened until the very end of the main event. Why am I getting that? CM Punk. Yeah, let's just talk about CM Punk here. Seth Rollins, he's a main event. As a matter of fact, has he? Yeah, he's been in one main event in WrestleMania. But listen, he has proven himself to be on top, so it doesn't bother him if he's not in the top card. It doesn't. The same for Roman Reigns. For God's sakes, for the past 2 years, he has been the end-all, be-all of every major WWE PLE there is. He is the top. He is the top guy. If anyone deserves a vacation from being the top guy for so long, it's Roman Reigns. This will probably be the first WrestleMania that Roman Reigns actually has to have fun. Actually gets to have some type of fun. He doesn't have to carry the entire company on his shoulders anymore. He gave the ball to Cody Rhodes, and now he doesn't have to feel like he needs to be the guy anymore. He can actually relax. He can actually chill. So he can actually have fun in the main event. And shout out to Seth Rollins and shout out to Roman Reigns, because when all is said and done in the world of professional wrestling, it will be criminal, and I really mean criminal, if the Shield does not get into the Hall of Fame. I don't care if it's WWE. I don't care. I'm talking about Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, and Jon Moxley. Those 3 men have revolutionized pro wrestling. DX did it. The NWO did it. The 4 Horsemen did it. For 3 men to be together, remain friends for so long, and have unbelievable success on their own is remarkable. And I am a huge fan of all 3 of them. The Shield is the greatest faction in wrestling. Just look at those 3 men. They're lunatics. They're crazy, and I love it. Each of them have their own success. We could talk about the Shield some others come time. Get on top of that. Seth Rollins, he doesn't need to be in the main event. Roman Reigns doesn't need. The one person that probably feels heated about this is CM Punk. What a corporate muncher punk. He's a Canucker. A punk. He's nothing but a punk. Prissy little punk. Maybe if I sat down and discussed this talk about wrestling, life, whatever, talk about just what goes on people's minds right now. I can probably love the guy. I used to love the guy. I used to believe in his rebel attitude. Don't give a fuck style. But when you get older, he burns so many bridges, you have to get on your knees and suck up to the highest dollar. I don't know. This man almost ruined AEW. I don't give a shit what anyone else thinks. He should have never done that pipe bomb to begin with. He should have been a damn professional. He should have been a professional. Type of shit is behind closed doors. You never even got the chance to even discuss this with Tony Khan. You even had a chance to discuss this with him before you decided to ruin all in front of the media, in front of the whole world, all because of Colt Cabana. What the hell is that? You did your stints on a regular Monday Night Raw, hanging out with friends and shit, right? And you had a little talk with Triple H and all this talking, and you come back, right? You think you're just a draw. Here's a problem, Punk. You broke your foot as soon as you won the title. You messed up your shoulder again, your pectoral, after you won the belt from Moxley. You can't fight at a high level anymore. You realize as an old man, you can't compete with these people in AEW, and that is the case. So you're living off of your name recognition alone. You come back to the WWE, you do a few favors. People love you. People chant your name, sing your songs. You become the top guy. Beautiful. You got your recognition. You feel home. You feel you can do anything. Except main event WrestleMania. Because that's what you really wanted, didn't it? You really want to main event WrestleMania. And not just any WrestleMania. You want a main event night 2 WrestleMania, because that's the most important main event there is. Let's not kid ourselves here. This is just recent. WrestleMania decided to be a 2-day affair, which is absolutely ridiculous. But it pays off for that, right? So good to them. They're businessmen. It used to be a once a year thing. One night, everything closes out. It was always on a Sunday night. That's when the main event happened. Usually, now there are some notable like matches that never main evented, like Rock versus Hogan. That never main evented. That was a marquee bout. They tore the roof off the sky, though. One of the most iconic events ever. No, in that aspect, you get the name recognition. It doesn't matter because as long as you're 3 or there, it's always going to be the main event. But you're just telling yourselves that, right? You're not the main event. You know who's the main event? CM Punk, and this is why it's all the controversy. On one corner, you got Cody Rhodes, a guy you had some beef with in AEW, which made Cody decide to go to the WWE anyway. But that's another story altogether. And then on the corner of that is John Cena. You remember John? You remember that you like John, but you just don't like the aura of John Cena? You know that? Main event John, big match John. That's what JB always says. JB always says that all the time. What happened, big dog? What happened? So what have you become in the main event, right? Yes, yes. So best case scenario for Mr. CM Punk, he's going to be in a main event of a buy one, get one free deal. His words, not mine. They decide Jey Uso versus Gunther isn't big enough to be the main event of night 1. Despite the fact that his skills have been shaky at best. Maybe it's nerves. Maybe it's self-confidence. I don't know. Does he even seem to himself that he can do this? But people love him. Buy his merchandise. People go yeet. People go yeet. Gunther, of all intents and purposes, he's a professional wrestler. He has duty to uphold being the man. Now, does he dumb down his moveset to make Jey Uso a champion? Or they can just close out the show with Jey Uso and thousands of people in that stadium yelling, yeah? CM Punk. On the surface, you will think it'll be a great moment for Jey. Fantastic moment for him. Biggest, unbelievable. And rightfully deep down inside, main event should have been yours. Oh, screw it. Main event for your Punk should have been night 2, Sunday night. CM Punk versus Cody Rhodes would have been awesome. It would have been amazing, bro. But the big match John has other plans. What was supposed to be the main event of night 2 before John Cena showed up? If I was a guy who single-handedly trying to run AEW to the ground with my mouth, little everyone in that entire company, especially Tony Khan, just so they can get back to the WWE with open arms from Peppa Triple H. You do your little song and dance, you do your things with the people, you had your feud with Drew McIntyre, which, by the way, that is your only best feud you have in the WWE. I do not believe, with a shadow of a doubt, that you and Seth Rollins ever top that. Ever. You showed more hatred towards Drew McIntyre against a man who apparently for years hated your guts in real life. And this is how you show for it. Meanwhile, you got Edge and Jon Moxley. You got Edge just driving Jon Moxley to a bed of freaking nails and stuck on his back. And that was a competition. There was more hatred than that. And you couldn't even show that. You couldn't even show that in the cage match, didn't you? Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher showed us a cage match for the ages. There was hatred, beef. You felt that in the soul. The next night was garbage. How do you go from a dog collar match against MJF, you bloody, battered, and bruised, and you looking like a warrior, to doing this? To doing this? You're going to have your supporters saying, oh, yeah, I'm on this shit. No, it isn't. I don't watch his shows. I don't listen to what he says. Every now and then, when I scroll through here, there's something about it. You do all of this hoping things will be mended, which on the surface they are, and that Triple H would bless you a main event. That's beautiful. That's nice. And that may not be the case. So, what else is going to happen? Huh? Well, because I may have some predictions, but possibilities. What is this favor that Paul Heyman owed you? What is this? What is this favor? I haven't watched Raw in a minute. I don't know if he had discussed what the favor was, but is there a possible way for CM Punk to get involved in the John Cena Cody Rhodes match for night 2? I'll guarantee if I book this WWE, they'd call me to be a writer. Here's what I will do. Here's what I will do. And this will save face for everybody involved. Say Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and CM Punk, right? They're not in the main event, right? They're showcasing online. The winner of that automatically moves on to night 2, face John Cena and Cody Rhodes to become the new champ. Now, I don't know how that will ever work. But if we're talking about Paul Heyman here, he probably pulled some strings within the bosses to make that happen. Now, the problem is, how did it get past Ray? because I don't think Dwayne would like that one bit. And if I remember correctly, he owns stock in TKO, which makes him like a somewhat of a boss in a way. That's why they call him the final boss. I'm waiting how that transfers into this situation. CM Punk wins the triple threat, moves on to night 2, and then you have 3 polarizing individuals in one ring. The history of ego between those 3 men will be too much to handle. The ego of the 3 men involved in this match is too much to handle. I had predicted this. I wanted to add John Cena, so he has other plans. This was going to be an egotistical circle jerk. They're going to jerk around for your money. OnlyFans. Wrestlemania is like OnlyFans to a professional wrestling watcher in terms of production and the people involved. You're not really there. You're there for part of the story, and yet you're there for the atmosphere. I'm a man strictly for the wrestling and violence. I do not give a shit about story. Every now and then, a story will be nice if it makes a lot of sense, but my God, make it just like that is it. Millions of people from all over the world, you know? More power to you. I never realized there was so much sheep in the world. But hey, you love the marketing, you love the brand. You wear it proudly. You buy the merchandise. You're a consumer. You're a capitalistic consumer. I'm a connoisseur of pro wrestling. There's a big difference. Let me know what you guys now. Let's talk about Jon Moxley for a minute here. Before we go, let's talk about Jon Moxley. You're going to hear a lot of gripe from a lot of people talking about how bad Jon Moxley is. First off, he's not bad. He's amazing. He has more toughness in his pinky than you fat keyboard warrior clicking vaquitos can ever do in your entire life of a bag of Doritos and a Mountain Dew. So how dare you? This man didn't fly out to Omaha. The man drove 11 hours in frigid snow to get into that arena. And to show for that, he gets suplexed onto a bed of nails by Edge, a.k.a. Adam Copeland, a.k.a. Cope with that. So much so that it got stuck in his... Remember Janice from TNA? Remember when they teased Janice of Abyss had this bad with the nails just like that and the name of Janice, and yet we never got to see it in action? It was always teased, and maybe there was a spot here and there, but it doesn't really show the true brutality of what Janice is. This is Janice right now. And it's stuck on his back, and Wheeler used the ref trying to pull it out. It was disgusting. It was disgusting. It was not for the weak of heart, man. Kids, small kids, may be tolerated by this type of brutality. It's violent. This is the type of violence they should have expressed during the pay-per-view. This is what I don't understand. Like, you decided to have a piss-poor match at Revolution, only to come around, and you know what? Wow. You know what? I can't even complain about it either. Because even those two knew they had a very piss-poor match, main event at Revolution. And somehow, Jon Moxley, God love him, thought that this is the way to give back to the fans. And boy, oh boy, did they give back in spades. He drove 11 miles just so he can have a bat full of nails plunged into his back. That's dedication. It's crazy. It's really him, isn't it? That's who Jon Moxley is. The ring, what he does, That's in his blood. That's his vice, his drug. As Jon Moxley transferred his vices from alcoholism to violence in the ring. When he was under the influence, he wasn't gushing as much blood as he is now. Maybe I could be wrong. I have to see the ratio. Maybe you guys will tell. The more Jon Moxley got sober, the more violent he has done upon himself. I'm not going to wish this as a call for help because he's a grown man. He can make these type of decisions. I would assume that he is in sound body and sound mind when he does these crazy things. I have realized that Adam Copeland is a crazy bastard too. And he too treats the ring like a drug. I know. If Bryan Danielson, God bless his soul, if his neck and his concussions and his numerous injuries wasn't bothering him to the point that he can't do it anymore, he would be doing the same damn thing too. Because all these guys, they're just addicted to wrestling. They're addicted to the sport. They're addicted to the violence. That's what it is about. We can never think like them because we're not them. We have no idea what it's like. So who are we to pass judgments on those individuals? All they do is give their literal blood, sweat, and tears in that ring, our money. Can't put a price on that. Years ago, violence like this, it would have never been shown. Two women fight each other in a complete bloodbath? No, that would never be shown. The rules have changed. People want realism now. People have options. So to be perfectly honest with you, there should be no reason why WWE and AEW fans cannot exist together. You see, this whole tribalism thing is stupid. I blame this squarely on the WWE, and I blame this on the principles of Vince McMahon as to if you find another company trying to go against you, you eliminate them completely. And that is not good for business. Not in this generation. There are too many pro wrestlers. They've been working hard, traveling. There has to be more great wrestling, great events for them to showcase on so they can make money, so they can provide for their families. AEW is important for that. It's a vital part of the whole spectrum of professional wrestling. For that, to hear fans of the WWE wishing to die, it breaks my heart because I remember years ago, people enjoyed wrestling. I don't know where this divide came from. Let's be clear here. I blame this on Jim Cornette and his bias towards professional wrestling and putting down AEW where everything they can. Do they have problems with storylines and booking sometimes? Yes, but that's a startup company. You're going to have ups and downs and growing pains, and you learn from that and become better. You don't wish it to die. Every time I see something good happen to AEW, I'm cheering them on because they're the true underdogs and all this shit. They're trying to make wrestling better. I remember when John Cena was on top, wrestling was boring. That's why I went to New Japan. That's why I saw Nakamura. You made Nakamura a joke, Triple H. You made Nakamura a complete joke. He was a badass, a complete badass in New Japan. And I hope he does come back to face Tanahashi for at least one more time. A good Wrestle Kingdom match. That would be amazing. I would love that. But yeah, you know what? I hate when people put down AEW because all they're trying to do is bring wrestling to the fans. They're not looking to have brands. They're not looking to promote products like your Prime Energy drink or whatever the case may be. They're not trying to do any of that. They're just want to have a show people can just enjoy and have fun and enjoy, and you want to put that shit, how dare you? Seriously, imagine an alternate world where instead of the WWE trying to coexist themselves with TNA or AEW trying to coexist with New Japan, how about a real Forbidden Door? How about WWE versus AEW? And I know exactly just how to do that. That will go by the name John Cena. Think about this. What if John Cena finishes his retirement 10 months from now? He goes off in the sunset. They give him a beautiful send off in the WWE Hall of Fame, blah, 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 whatever case may be. Months goes by. Kenny Omega's about to get ready for the match. He doesn't have much time left, too. No, he's getting much older. The matches pile up, and I'm coming from a figure. And he just basically just tells Kenny Omega he's a complete joke. Company sucks, that the company will go over, and then he's been sent by the opposition to take them out once and for all. And then he can be this heelish, no fucks given, excuse my French, zero F's given type of man who's going to speak what's on his mind. He's not playing a character. He is John Cena. So the John Cena that he had to be for the fans, for the investors, for all that stuff, he could actually finally be free because he's not free. He doesn't have freedom. He doesn't have wrestling freedom. He's always been a product of the system. Even in his heelish manner, he's still part of it. Imagine listening to the real John Cena, the man behind character. AEW would be the perfect place for him to spill his frustrations, his guts, his everything. You can say screw the AEW fans, all that stuff. You're gonna have a real Forbidden Door thing. John Cena versus Kenny Omega. Who's really the icon? Who's the best out? I don't know I'll come in, but I should talk more about this. I have done my ranting for now. I'll think more. If you like, subscribe. See you.